station, and I think if there's ever a moment to let yourself drift back from a field, it would be at a drink station. The two pacemakers, they do manage it, but that was chaos for them. Has Hassan managed to get her drink behind? Yes, she has. I can see Hassan just taking a sip of her drink there. I think when you look at some of the athletes in the front of this group, the likes of Jepkoskai, Alemu, Asefa, I think they'll train in big groups where they train in Africa, and they'll have a lot of company around them. They might be used to running in a close pack. As you look at athletes like Hassan,
all these little things count. They all are running. Women's only a record race, so
I think you're really right, Chris, like this. You need to be engaged, you need to be focused, but you can't be just bleeding energy left, right and centre. And it's happened for me, she's been checking that watch. I don't know if she's got it set to kilometres or even shorter than that. She's checking it the whole time. She's glued to the back of the pacemakers. It's not a windy day. You can allow yourself to step back a tiny bit and just relax. But like I said, probably 5-10 minutes ago, some of these athletes will be very used to running in big packs the whole time. We're in their training locations.
take your time over the drink station. If you lose a couple of seconds, that's fine, because you'll make that up through taking the time to get that fuel on and make certain you get it all inside. And I certainly at the moment, the way Hassan, she is wincing a bit. There was a bit of a wince, but that gap was largely built up because of the drink station, making certain she got it. But this is where Hassan is unpredictable. She is wince, that was another wince. She is unpredictable, and she does kind of race with a lot of drama, and I don't know, man, that's actually looking a little bit more, I don't know, but anything's possible after what happened 2 years ago. We need to keep an eye on that.
So they're coming towards Patty starts here. There's the elite women's race. You can see Stefan and Stan just a shade behind, and at 31.16 through 10 kilometres being credited to Jim Pacefa. That's underneath the pace that was hit by Pedro Chepchich here last year. She came through 31.26, so well under the 32 minutes for the Rankers did for the course record. The pace fluctuates through the marathon. I'm trying to compare the split to where those races were at this point in the race, because it's not always even as the course twists and turns and undulates. Now, Stefania Hassan, in 2023, I think she started having problems a little bit later, but it was around about the halfway point. She was having to be able to introduce you to, this is the men's elite start list, topped by 4 incredibly talented Kenyans up there, led by last year's defending champion Alexander Mutiso. The other athlete, great fourth place for Mohammed last time round, and then Emil Perez. Charge to the field, Perez coming. Everyone, as I said, very excited about this guy. The Olympic triathlon champion. Everyone talks about Olympic blues and the dip after Olympic Games, and Alex Yee said to keep things fresh, this became his new target. He actually grew up doing a lot of running. He's no stranger to running, but he is a stranger to the marathon. Sebastian Seru has only run 1 marathon, but it was the second fastest debut ever in Valencia in December. 2 minutes, 2:02:05 for the Kenyan. Jacob Kalimo is the world record holder in the half marathon by a whopping 48 seconds. Debut here for the Ugandan. How will that sensational half translate to the full 26.2 miles? Tamara Tola is the Olympic champion in an Olympic record on an insanely hilly course in Paris. He thrives on hilly courses, but how can he go here in the London Marathon where he DNF'd last year? Alex Mutiso was the defending champion. He hasn't received all that much attention in the build-up, but he's actually in better shape than he was last year. 59.19 in his half to build up for this competition. And finally, we're going to introduce you to the 4-time London Marathon, the 2-time Olympic champion, the only man to have run sub-2 hours in the marathon, Eliud Kipchoge. Difficult year for Eliud Kipchoge last year. DNF attempts to become 3-time Olympic champion, but he is here on the streets of London. Club athletes in Britain, boys just behind them. There goes the Claxton, there goes the elite men's field. And the club athletes, there'll be someone from the club to start that sprints past to get their moment on television. Don't know who it will be this year, but they can see Richard Whitehead getting up. I think what is his 7th marathon of the year as he tries to do 20 this whole year, just asking for a bit of space at the start of the marathon. Here we go, we have got our person going for 5 minutes of fame here on the left hand side of the screen, being totally ignored by
just fresh faces, but fresh shoe. You've got the two kind of athletes we're looking at. Safer not taking a bottle, but Hassan taking a very slow and deliberate time over grabbing that bottle. And it was funny, Emil Caress, I spoke to him and he said that his coach Canova talks, it's really important to take your time over the drink station. If you lose a couple of seconds, that's fine, because you'll make that up through taking your time to get that fuel on and make certain you get it all inside. And I certainly at the moment, the way Hassan, oh, she is wincing a bit. There was a bit of a wince, but that gap was largely built up because of the drink.
He's absolutely phenomenal, and I think everyone would love him to do a bikini and kind of outperform what everyone's expecting him to do today. I think a lot of people have kind of written him off. He was 6th in Tokyo last summer in the World Marathon Major, sorry, in the spring, and then DNF'd in Paris, and that was just so upsetting for so many people. They really wanted to see him duke it out the whole way on those streets of London and Paris, and he just couldn't quite get the job done. But he says he's back in good pace, in shape, and he feels good. I'm just confused with this pace because I can see we were due to have a second pack of Emmanuel Petros and Yemeni Berhan Kripa, and they're in this pack. These two, whether they've not quite split away with the pacemakers that are meant to be going a tiny bit slower. You can see pace 1, 2, 3 at the front here. They were asked to go 61:15 to give a finishing time somewhere between 2 hours and 1, 2 hours and 2. So they're doing their job, and there should have been one more pacemaker, Gideon Kiprotich, Rob.
It'd be interesting to record.
It would. Fair race.
Yes, it certainly would be, and we need to keep an eye.
They're still underneath course record pace, still on course for a women's only world record. Now Sefa and Jet Koskei working well together. And Sebastian Sarway has turned that mini break at the drink station into a significant lead here. They've still got half an hour or so to go. This is a long, long way out. He moved at 7k to go in Valencia. What, it's more like 10k to go here? That's a big, hard, long move from a long way out.
This is really ballsy. I have to say, we talked about this before the race. What if someone made a move and then it becomes about this chase group? Because it happened in Boston. The gap opened between the leader and the chase group to about a minute, and in the end it ended up only being about a 10-15 second win. I forget the exact numbers, and it kind of was deceptive. Now this is going to be his confidence coming off the back of Valencia and just how quick he went, and I'm sure a lot of this is also coming off the back of how easy he looked and felt. But we need to keep an eye on this, because we're potentially watching the athlete of the future produce something special, or we could be about to see one of the most incredible finishes. Either way, this story is really starting to fold, and it's just as we said, as you come out of Canary Wharf and you've got that last 10k along the river, things start happening, and we're going to the progression of the paces here. Like, to put it in perspective, we're seeing a lot of 14:20 to 14:40s. His last kind of 5k when he ran his debut in Valencia, he ran 14:07 5k pace, or 7k. So for an extra 2k over the 5k distance. So he's got it in his locker to produce an incredible finish. So we need to keep an eye on the watch. But that chase group, you can see Kip Limo in the background leading the chase pack.
And there's been a small break in the women's race as well. Just trying to catch up with them. There they are, just going underneath the tunnel here. Just Asafa has opened up a gap ahead of Jocelyn Jet Koskei. For me, just Asafa has looked more confident throughout the entirety of this race. She was always checking the watch, and maybe a bit anxious that she wasn't just relaxing and settling into her pace. But perhaps just Asafa, the Olympic silver medalist, just knew she felt good, knew she was on for a good day, and she didn't want to let that chance slip away. She's been trying to work with Jet Koskei to keep this pace up moving, but I think she's finally lost her patience as we enter into the last couple of miles here in the women's race. And she's gone, I want the course record at London Marathon. I want the women's only world record. I used to have the outright world record. That's gone. Maybe I can have the women's only instead. But this looks like a strong race-winning move from just Asafa.
When you're dealing with world-class athletes, one of the things I learned a harsh lesson growing up with Mo Farah is never anger a world-class athlete, because they will come back in the next race and really come for you. And Assafe has clearly come away from the Olympics with a bit between her teeth. Hassan's taken 4 months off. Assafe has gone away and gone, no, I'm not having any of this, and clearly put the work in. Yes, there was a DNF. She said it was a race simulation and that was what was going on, and it's looking like that was the case. I think there was a lot of doubt before the race as to how true that was. But from the word go, she's clearly had a purpose. She looked a bit itchy for me, but this is very much an athlete that's got a bee in her bonnet, and she's come here to set almost a second Olympics. It's nothing bad about that, don't get me wrong. But with the way that finished went, she clearly was very angry about the not got that back in the sands, approaching the stones with the bottom and just come through. And she's just literally hammering home this victory. And I'm sure she's going to be great delight in the fact she's won this race, that she's given Hassan a bit something to think about going forward. But like I said before, you know, say for now, balls in your court, Hassan, potentially. I know we haven't finished, but it does look like this is a winning move.
It's a big victory for Mustafa. And it has been a big move for Sebastian Starway as well. The lift in pace, I mean, even if he just falter in the last 3 or 4K and slow down ever so slightly, the damage he's doing here, I can't wait to see what his mile splits have been doing. And how this pace will have lifted. There we go, thank you very much. 4:40 for mile 9:19, 4:18 for mile 20. That is some serious pace, and he's still got another 5 miles left to go after that. Can he maintain that, Chris, or is he put this in and he's going to have to back off now?
I'm trying to do the quick maths on this. Like 66 is 27:30 pace for 10k. So hang on, 60. That's inside 27:30 pace for 10k. That's what? Who is this guy? What's going on? Like that's mile 20 as well. He's still got another just over 6 to go. I mean, look, hey, he's nowhere near finished this. He's nowhere near won that. But that's we can see now why the gap's opened. But that gap looked like it was a good 10. From what I can tell, eyeballing it, a good 10-12 seconds. So the other guys have picked up. It's not like they've slowed. They've all picked up. He's just picked up more than the rest. So he's now going to keep this going, because the other guys are clearly feeling good because they have picked up the pace. But he's going to have to see this through. This is 10k is a long way, and last time he let the group go and then he came back and he did it in 7k. So let's see how this unfolds. But this is a big bold move against a very big, impressive field.
Mustafa doesn't have that long left to go here in London. She's on the embankment and she's still looking really, really good. Mustafa. She's clearly lifted her pace. She's really squeezed it, and she's absolutely destroyed Jocelyn Jankowska. We can't see her in the back of the shot. 5:03, 24th mile. Ouch! Look at that from what's going on. We knew the pace was dropping. We knew they were easing off, and it did look like Mustafa was getting impatient. Perhaps she had it in her mind. You know, if we get to, if we're only this at 35k, I've got to go. If I can get near to the time that I think I'm capable of. Mustafa, she still looks full of running. I wonder if we'll see her keep her foot on the pedal the whole way to the finish, or whether she'll just be confident to break the championship record, or whether she wants to take it as low as she possibly can.
I think she wants to win, but interesting, if you do the maths roughly, she's coming up to the 25th mile, so we should have a split for that coming up. So it's not like she's got 2 miles to go. She is just over a mile. She's coming up to Big Ben. We'll probably see the London Eye on the right at some point if the camera goes that way, but she just looks like she's running with a face of just firm kind of aggression, a real kind of classy kind of, I've come here to do a job and I'm doing it, and I'm seeing it through. She has had the odd sort of look back a bit all over in that regard, but that's clearly part of right in cue. She takes a drink. I mean, I talk a lot about athletes taking these drinks, but I think that's one of the big changes to a marathon these days, is the importance that athletes, and especially coaches when they're communicating to their athletes, to take on as much fuel as you can, even at that late stage. So she's thrown it to give a bit of insight, even though you think with just over a mile to go, that's not going to be fuel. No, it's not, but just getting that sweet taste in your mouth gives the message to your brain that you've still got energy, because that's part of what happens in a marathon. You're running out of energy, so just taking a sweet will just give her mentally a boost, that ketone effect to see her through the last mile or so. And it's not actually listening to her muscles, but it's all part So looking like just inside women. She's going to have to hold on here because, you know, that's tight.
28:47 at 40 kilometres. She's on the wrong side of Paula Radcliffe's split for that course record. And she's still looking full of running here, Asefa. And I wonder, you're at this point in the race, you're absolutely exhausted. You've managed to break your competitors and you're in the lead. Is there anything left in your mental resolve to say, you know, let's just smash this last mile, let's just go as fast as possible? Or do you just, you know, it's that sort of fight or flight, you're not in a dangerous situation anymore, you haven't got that sort of fear to draw on. Surely you're just going to slow down a little bit.
I think with the nature of the way this race has been run, because it's very much about there's London and the background, but it's very much how it's run to that point and the level of fatigue we're carrying into it. Looking at Sarway's body language, it looks a little bit more laboured. He's looking at his watch, a little bit more grimace. You know, this is the gap looks I'm trying to see in the background. This is very hard to read, but again, this is not a foregone conclusion. By no means write off what the athlete's chasing behind, because not just because they're world-class athlete. I see a bike in the background, so I bet this athlete's not far. Yes, I'm right. Kiplimo is quick. But this is about, has Sarway gone too soon? Has he gone too hard? I certainly feel like he would have waited a couple more K, maybe when he took off with 7K to go, or 6K, he'd have a bit more confidence to hold it. But he's going to get to this mile or two to go, and he's going to be feeling it. He's a world-class athlete and he can hold on, but this is going to tell us a lot about him and his resolve and how he goes. And it's getting hot now. I haven't seen many of them take any cooling off like sponges or anything like that, and that's something again that I certainly, with a few athletes I helped, spoke about that. You need to make certain you preempt getting hot. So these are all things that are going to play in. We've still got a good 20 minutes to go here. This is hotting up, to use that analogy.
Well, it is Jacob Kiplimo, I think, there in second place, all on his own. There was a couple of them giving chase here to Sebastian Sarway. We can see him in the distance, but I haven't seen Sebastian Sarway look back. Seems to have ignored a drink station there. There are a lot of drink stations out for the elites. But Sebastian Sarway, if he looked over his shoulder, he would see wonderful Jacob Kiplimo. I think that is still Jacob Kiplimo there in second place. That's not a winning lead for me at this stage in the marathon. That is not big enough. However, Sajid Asefa, I think, does have a winning lead. She's just entering birdcage walk here in the women's race. 2 hours 12 on the clock. Which at this point in the race in 2024, there was a group of them, there was 4 of them alongside each other, pushing and shoving, pushing each other in terms of pace, and clashing around that final corner. Sajid Asefa did clash with Heather Chepchirchir and had to settle for second place because she's got the road all to herself for these final few right-hand turns. She's opened up nearly a minute ahead of Jocelyn Jankowski, and Safan Hassan is 3 minutes behind in third place, but Haben Desse is closing the gap on Safan Hassan. Desse just 30 seconds away from the podium at the moment. That's going to be a real pressure moment for Hassan in these closing miles. But Sajid Asefa, thanks to a wonderful last 10-15 minutes, has given herself a nice calm finish to the 2025 London Marathon.
Is there such a thing as a calm finish to a marathon? Even if you're feeling good, the crowd, the buzz. Do you know what? It's one of those funny things. You get to this point, even the greatest athletes must feel that almost, I just want to get there now. And that sort of, if you're in that dream state where you're kind of running on sand and you can't really move, it's almost like, it's not quite like that, but there's almost like your brain starts picturing the finish line before it's actually happened, and you have to remember that you have to get there. And so there's kind of that mind game you start playing between enjoyment, fatigue and all that. But hopefully she'll break into a smile and realise that she's done what any world-class athlete should do when they're disappointed. Again, I say the silver medal at the Olympics is not disappointing, but for her, she's unwritten a wrong. She felt that she deserved that Olympic gold medal, and winning the London Marathon is as big an event as it comes. Winning any marathon major is huge, and Olympic marathon is huge. And now she's got a silver medal on what looks like, just be outside the women's only world record, but she won't care. She's come in to do a job and to win, and she's going to do it in style.
Those times to keep an eye on the course record of Paula Radcliffe she's not passed through the 385 yards to go in front of Buckingham Palace. The women's only world record, the mark set by Perez Chepchirchir when she won here in London Marathon last year, 2 hours 16:16. There she goes, underneath 385 yards to go in front of Buckingham Palace. So just Asefa could very much break the women's only world record if she can keep the pace on, keep the pressure on here. She's had a wonderful career so far to just Asefa, and she's still pretty young. Arrived on the scene with that world record run of 2:11:53, breaking Bridget Koskai's world record by over 2 minutes. That's now the second fastest mark of all time. She came second here to Perez Chepchirchir in the London Marathon in 2024. She's struggling to find the right route here, but she's going to the arms. She's driving here to just Asefa. It was silver in Paris at the Olympic Games, and she's trying to become the fastest woman ever in a women's only race, and I think she's going to do it. She's got 45 seconds to go. She's on the home straight. She's on the mile. She's getting the cheers from the stand. Paula Radcliffe will be just off in one of the commentary booths, celebrating retaining the course record, but the women's only record does go to Ethiopia and to just Asefa, the London Marathon champion in 2025, underneath 2 hours. She cheers herself because that is a new women's only world record by nearly 30 seconds, and an important second World Marathon major win for her in her career. She's absolutely delighted. That was a wonderfully executed run from just Asefa. I think she would love to say sitting down, but she knows she's got some smiles and cheers to give. Just keeping an eye on the rest of the podium positions here behind. It is getting super close for third place, but that third place is for just Asefa. You can tell how much that meant to her.
This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. I got tons of soul on my true collective ball. Famous, also famous, number one, desirable. I do what I want, when I want, and how I want it. Leave you with the one in me, yeah, that's how I roll. I got change to throw, I don't care about no gold. Better, so much better, flipping incredible. Always on the show, so they know that I still got it. And I never feel sorry, yeah, to the world. This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. This is me, I'm still on it, cause you all wanna be loved. Yeah, you all wanna be loved by a champion, a champion. When I hear him come like my fuse and then ba-bum. Later, see you later, I'm about to blow this up. You can sing my song if you want, I know you want it. It's always kinda funny, yeah, cause you all know I'm a superstar in the sky to lead you on. Haters gonna hate us, approve of how they love. They can bring me down, nah, nah, nah. They are jealous of me and my umbrella, yeah, they love me so. This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. This is me, I'm still on it, cause you all wanna be loved. Yeah, you all wanna be loved by a champion, a champion. Yeah, all I wanna do is just say, you don't understand how I play. I am on my way to win you over and over, yeah. Oh, you can hear my voice in your head, and you wanna hear it again. So you play it over and over and over, yeah. Champion, champion. This is me, I'm still on it, cause you all wanna be loved. Yeah, you all wanna be loved by a champion, champion. This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. Yeah, all I wanna do is just say, you don't understand how I play. I am on my way to win you over and
was that dream state running I was talking about, but she did great. And Hassan, what an athlete, and I'm sure she'll be proud to finish on the podium.
Hassan closed up a lot of time on Jocelyn Jatkowski in the last 5k there. The gap back to Hassan was, I think, with a couple of minutes at one point between Jatkowski and Hassan. It certainly wasn't that by the time we got to the finish line. But their race is done, their day is done here in London to just Asefa, the 2025 London Marathon champion. Jocelyn Jatkowski second, and Safan Hassan another podium finish in third. Sebastian Sawe still out in the lead here in this men's race with around about 10 or 11 minutes left to go. Did see some lightning quick mile splits from this guy, I think 4:18 the 20th mile, and he is still moving well. I think he's perhaps eased off that aggressive pace when he made the breakaway from the pack. Last time we saw the man, you could see Jacob Kiplimo in the background, and if he gets a sniff at Sebastian Sawe here, we can have a wonderful last 4 or 5 kilometres.
Oh my word, 13:56 5k. Oh my word, that's really.
You think there's an error in the time?
No, I backed the guys doing it, but God, I felt that just sitting there. I don't know what to say about that. That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously taken off early. I'd be surprised if we can see Kiplimo in the background if he's running at that pace. If we see Kiplimo, I'm thinking, what the heck is he running? Because he has kept the pressure on. I mean, he's got about 10 minutes to run. So what about, you know, just over 3k? I mean, for the pace he's running, that is like, I mean, it's ridiculous. But I think his coach is right. We're seeing quite a talent right now, and he's coming up towards the Big Ben moment, and that gap. I think even a big blow up at this point, he just kept the pressure on. I have to say, I am thoroughly impressed by this, because you just see Kiplimo in the background, because Kiplimo's not running slowly here. Like, for that gap to be like that, Kiplimo probably ran in the region of a 14:25 5k, so he picked it up. I mean, so Sawe's had to put in a real shift to open that gap up, and he's not letting up. Those rises, again, they're just nuisances, and you get more crowds on the right hand side as you're running because you can't get on the left. But he'll get that welcome relief of running next to the Thames shortly, seeing the London Eye. I'm sure he won't stop off for a quick visit to that, but he'll keep going, get to Big Ben, take a right, and take the accolades for another very, very impressive marathon. And I think his coach is right. I think we're watching something very special, but I'd love to know what his overall split's looking at, because he's obviously had a look. I wish he could communicate with us what he's doing, but it'd be interesting to see, because I think this is with that kind of pace, that can render itself to a negative split, certainly.
Well, we saw that 59.45 from Kelvin Kipton when he set the course record in 2023, and this is a man that's clearly capable of a sub-60 second half as well. And Sebastian Sawe, you already mentioned the coaching stable he comes from, the Italian coach Claudio Baladelli. He coached the likes of Martin Lell, Evans Chibet, two-time Boston Marathon champion, one-time New York Marathon champion, Benson Kiprutu, who run Boston Marathon. You know, this training group, and I think you surround yourself with greatness, it normalises it. And you almost say, well, yes, I do deserve to win a World Marathon Major, because that's what all my mates do, they're all around me, and it gives you that confidence and that belief. And the question marks this week have really been around, why did Sebastian Sawe wait so long to debut in the marathon? Why didn't he do this years ago? He could have had years at the top of his game. And his coach, Baradali, is quite adamant and just saying, well, no, the time wasn't right. You know, there were injuries, there were disruptions, there was COVID, there was this, there was the other, and we just wanted to wait until he was right. And they clearly have. I think you know, they did fantastic well in Valencia with that 2:02. And you know, why have a bad experience at the marathon when you can wait and really nail it?
Well, for a coach like him, he's got a lot of learnings from these previous athletes. A lot of 21 years of coaching is a long time, and when you coach the best, my coach Mark Rowland always used to say, you have to coach the best to really learn the finer, intricate details of elite running, whatever the distance is. And he's got a stable of athletes and a coach who really know their trade and really understand it, and there seems to be a lot of purpose and reason behind every decision they make. Even here, like, I felt like missing a drink station at roughly 30k was, why would you do that, 31k, whatever it was. And that's when he made his move. And we're entering 6-7 minutes to the end, and at the moment it looks like it was the right thing to do, and clearly something the coach had probably said, you're fine to do it. So let's see him to the end, but I think when you have that history of learnings from the group and the stable, I think you're seeing potentially not just a great athlete, but a lot of years of experience going into potentially a very interesting journey that we're going to see going forward. And now he's going to have a drink. It's again, a lot of this drink will be around just trying to give the brain the information that you're okay. It's not really about getting it into the muscle. It's very much about just letting the body know that I've got fuel, I can do this, because it's not, these gels are good, but they're not quite as quick as 5 minutes.
Sebastian Sawe, I think he's probably rewarded himself with a drink there at 40k after missing that drink at 30k, and I think that could have been a real tactical decision that they made before the race. And it's great to hear Baradelli talk about, in fact, he's a sports scientist, this coach that has worked with this 2 running club in Kipsabet for so many years. He's been training in Kenya for 20 years. And so yes, he's a scientist to his core as a student, but then to take that science and apply it to an atmosphere, to a nation like Kenya where it's all instinct. He's loved kind of marrying up that scientific diligence to actually what works out there with these real people in the real world, especially a nation like Kenya that has so much talent and such a culture of endurance running. Jacob Kiplimo has done a fantastic job of damage limitation here. On his debut, the Ugandan is in 2nd place, just 46 seconds behind it. I think that's fine when Sebastian Sawe has gone underneath 14 minutes for a 5k split.
I couldn't agree with you more, because that's what I said, like, Kiplimo's running quick, and he's probably, it'd be interesting to see what he says afterwards of whoa, what the heck just happened there, or whether he actually just wanted to come away with his positive experience. And sometimes I think when you're doing your first marathon, there should be an element of caution. A bit like with Elish, it'd be good to get an update how she ended up, because I think coming away with a positive experience is priceless for marathons moving forward. And for Kiplimo to trying to take a step back, 14:20 for that 5k again. You know, you put in a 13:56. I'd like to think the next one's going to be a bit slower. I mean, he's nearly broken 28 minutes for 10k there. I mean, that's going to be all over the stats when you get the race breakdown afterwards of how that compares to other races. But he's kept the pressure on, and I think Kiplimo's done a fantastic job, like you say, is keeping this damage limitation. I think he should be, as long as he sees it out, he'll go away having a bit more of an understanding of not just the event, but what he needs to do and where the marathon event's at. Because, you know, Hassan talked a lot about how Ruth Chepngetich, world record of 2:09 set a bar. And so these athletes are always looking at where these bars are being set to try and go away and compete and do better. 4:53, that's doesn't really reflect the 14:20. So I'm assuming that's like that he probably threw in a fast 7k to 8k, and then a k a bit slower just to pull it back. But hey, listen, he's running quick. You'd like to think he's going to get tired. As great as an athlete it is, you'd like to think. And what a shot of Big Ben in the background, freshly cleaned up from a couple of years ago and all nice and glistening. I wonder if he looked at the clock of that, not just his watch, but yeah.
Yeah, don't need to check your watch. You've got the biggest clock in.
Yeah, biggest clock in London.
Just behind you. But Sebastian Sawe, for me, he is slightly faltering here. The cadence has gone a bit. There's a bit of a grimace, and when you look straight on, there's a bit more sort of deviation in the running styles. There should be, because of what he's just done.
Well, he's running a marathon. I mean,
what can you ask for?
Give the guy a break.
but I think it was I wonder if he wanted to see what happened if he went with 10k to go, and what's happened is yes, he's only got an insanely quick 5 or 7k in him, but it was a low risk strategy, because if you've got that 14 minute, sub 14 minute 5k in your locker, you're going to have a big enough gap that you're okay. And I think Sawe, you could see him try this tactic again. I was wondering if he held that pace all the way to 10k, next marathon he's got to go at 15k to go. But
it's all about, in a marathon, when you get to that sort of stage, it's all about breaking hearts. You're trying to to put other athletes onto the back foot to feel like they're almost helpless. So a lot of the time in life, you think you really find out who you are when you're under the biggest amount of stress and the biggest amount of fatigue, and you really find out your true inner emotional character of who you are. And that's the beauty of the marathon and why people get drawn to it. You're kind of stripping yourself bare, and the last kind of 6-7 miles of an elite marathon, or for anyone, but in this case watching this setup, Sarway really put to test not just himself but everyone else around him, and he just broke the heart. And for them to then rebuild and believe they can catch him back up after he threw in a sub 14 5k, the damage was done, and he can almost kind of drift a little bit towards the end, and he can be forgiven to slow down and be forgiven for all those different things, because he did what he needed to do to win this race, which at 10-11k to go, he broke the hearts of the other athletes of a world-class field. And I think we're seeing the start of a very exciting journey, and I think this is going to probably be just outside a negative split, but like, I think we're seeing someone very, very exciting, and he's going under the, was it 385 yards to go? Yards? We're in UK, what's yards?
Sebastian Sarway has put on a masterclass here in London. He's going all the way over to the left-hand side, wants a closer look at Buckingham Palace. There are the officials telling him to stick to the right-hand line. Maybe he's going so fast he needs to take the apex of the curve. Sebastian Sarway unleashed a 13:56 kilometre split from 30 to 35k, and he's left the rest of the field in his wake. He's going to be very, very close to his lifetime best. He's the 5th fastest marathoner of all time, and here in his debut in the World Marathon Major Series, his debut in London, his 2nd marathon ever, he is going to be the winner of the 2025 London Marathon. He joins the likes of Eliud Kipchoge, Kelvin Kiptum, Cisse Lemma, Alex Matiso, Wilson Kiplagat, Amos Kipruto as a winner of the London Marathon. He makes it 4 consecutive wins for Kenya. But Sebastian Sarway lives up to the pre-race billing, cuts the tape just under 2 hours, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. He is tired, he did falter in the final few kilometres there, but the damage was already well done.
Assessing himself on that winners list now, he can write, give him a pen, write your name down, mate, well done. But what a performance. I think that more than backs up his debut of 2:02.05, and we're turning our attention to Kip Limo. I gotta say, I think that's a very, very impressive debut, and it's great to see the two athletes we spoke most about. I'm glad to see they're the ones that have risen to the top of this race, and rightly so. But I think this is the start of a beautiful rivalry in marathon running, and I'm excited to see where these two will take things, because it's 1 and 2 again, just like Copenhagen, and it's 1 and 2 again in London. Over to you, Hannah, for the finish.
Jacob Kiplimo, the world record holder over the half marathon, here in his debut over the full marathon distance, has done incredibly well. 2nd place in a really competitive field. 2 hours, 3.5 minutes for Jacob Kiplimo, and there is a big smile. I think Chris Thompson was right. He will wonder what might have happened if he tried to go with Sebastian Sarway. I mean, he probably thinks his legs would have fallen off. But yeah, when he looks back, when he analyses the race and realises that Sarway, it was a very good 5k, and then he eased back off a bit. And I wonder if Jacob Kiplimo would have thought he could have got himself involved. The race is on for 3rd place. It's Nagai versus last year's champion Matiso. They're trying to muster a sprint here in the closing stages. Nagai, the Olympic medalist in 2021, versus Matiso, the winner in 2024. Alexander Matiso going all the way to the line. Photo.
Have we ever seen a photo in a marathon? That's a photo. VAR.
And that's the beauty of athletics, isn't it? You can have these people out in the street for 26.2 miles, over 2 hours, and you still need a photo finish. Tabrit Tola, erasing the DNF from last year. The Olympic champion backs up that performance with a 5th place here in the London Marathon.
That's a fantastic run as well. I think these are great runs from all the athletes, and I think we will get reports of the weather getting a little bit hot towards the end, but as soon as we get the result of who finished 3rd, as if we don't know, that's absolutely incredible. But just look at that.
Four towels, haven't they? Just you know, everyone get a towel ready for.
Oh, here he is.
Oh, what a run from Eliud Kipchoge, 6th place. That is a phenomenal effort from the 4-time winner here in the London Marathon, the most successful athlete in the able-bodied races, Eliud Kipchoge, at a 6th place finish, 2:5:25. He looked in real trouble as we were coming through Canary Wharf. He was way further back down the field. I think the decision he made there to ease off was the right one, because he's picked up a lot of positions in the second half. That is a good performance from Eliud Kipchoge.
I think that's a fantastic run, and he raises the DNF from the Olympics in Paris, and we're seeing a very Kipkoech, sorry, coming in very tired, but a very good Kipkoech. Jeez, that's terrible. He's coming in for a fantastic finish, bit laboured, but hey, listen, what a run from him. He's certainly on an upwards curve, and it'd be great to see what he does in the future. And I'm getting in my ear that it sounds like it might be Mohammed is the lead British athlete coming through.
I hope we'll have a look at the lead for it in the men's race. Mohammed has sort of played down his chances before the competition, saying he wasn't sure he was in sort of the personal best form of last year, but to be first Brit would be great. Petros, great to see him coming across the line now. Amanal Petros really went for it through 35k, and he's paid for that, if we're honest, in the last 10k or so. Petros, 2:06, couldn't better his personal best with Berlin a few years ago, but he really had a go, and I like that. I think there's a difference between time trialling a marathon and racing a marathon. And Petros, for me, he really tried to race today here in London.
He did, and I think this is where, again, that enthusiasm we saw from all the athletes, he's not reflecting on his performance. He's just probably processing it. And here we switch to Mohammed has been coming through the world. Mengesho was part of that lead group for a long time, and actually sitting in the front of it. So Mohammed is really picking through the field and kind of mirroring his fantastic effort last year to qualify for the Paris Olympics. Probably wasn't too bowled over with the Paris Olympics performance, but he's come back here and he's starting to make London Marathon his kind of favourite place to run. He's coming down towards, we're really not far. We are coming round to, I'm looking, 400 to go. There you go. I should know this like the back of my hand. But he looks like he's going to be slightly outside what he ran last year, but it doesn't matter. This is a fantastic run, and for sort of World Championship understanding of standards, I think it's 2:08.0 is the B standard, I think, for qualification. So he's going to be just outside that, unfortunately, but he does have times from last year. But this is his progression. He put in a real effort after halfway, and he's suffered a little bit in the last 5k, but he's clearly run a very methodical, very kind of patient race, and he's got a well-earned first British athlete across the line, and it's great to see him back up what he did last year. But our Paris Olympian coming home to, what are we looking at position-wise?
Oh, Mohammed cutting a very tired figure as he comes down the mile. He's in 9th place overall in the men's elite field here, and he's weaving all over the place. Mohammed is the kind of athlete that so many club athletes in Britain will look up to. Him and his brother Zach have been brilliant on the cross-country scene, so dominant, and they've not quite found their footing on the track, if you like, and then for Mohammed to come to the marathon and take to it like a duck to water, it has been brilliant. It was 4th place last year in Olympic qualifying time, and he's had another wonderful showing here on the streets of London, under 2:10 for the 3rd time in his career across just 4 marathons, and the first British finisher at the 2025 London Marathon. We're hearing that Alexander Batisto Monyayo has been confirmed as 3rd place finisher in that sprint finish with Ngai.
I tell you what, I'd like to see the image of that, because that might have been split by thousandths of a second. But what a run from Mohammed. Really nice lad. I think it's been really nice to see him, like you say, your words, take duck to water for the marathon. He's a fantastic cross-country runner, and I think Paula talks a lot about how her cross-country days really toughened her up for the marathon, just the difficulty of the terrain where we in the UK have to deal with the muds and the twists and the turns. We're not quite those kind of golf course style races, and I think Mohammed really sets himself apart and those races, and we're trying to get.
As I look back at Sebastian Sawe, who lived up to that pre-race hype, 2nd fastest ever debut in Valencia, becomes the London Marathon champion And Jacob Kiplimo on his marathon debut looks delighted with the second place. And Alexander Matiso, last year's winner, getting the final podium position on the dip ahead of Abdi Nagy.
Here he is, Alex Yee, our Olympic champion in the triathlon, bouncing away. He still looks like him. Like, you look at his running action, it doesn't look like it's changed at all. He's putting a lot of prep into this. A real crowd favourite, a real kind of darling of triathlon and the running world. Like, you know, he's been representing GB on the track. I've raced with him. I was very lucky to race with him in his early days in a very cool Highgate and European champs in Berlin. But what a run from the lad. I think this has been a real top effort. I think he'll probably just be outside 2:10, but I felt like anything inside 2:12 would have been incredible, and it's fantastic to see. I think everyone's going to be really pleased and proud of him.
And the Olympic triathlon champion comes home in the London Marathon in the top 15. We think 2:11. That is quite some debut. He said he's upped his running to around about 80 or 90 miles per week, still putting in 5 hours of swimming, 9 hours of biking on top of that. And I think he might have been second Brit, maybe, as we just see